Like Thanos, it was inevitable for Marvel Studios to include television in its larger storytelling methods. Now, Disney Plus gave Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios the runway to launch superheroes and their stories that were explicitly connected to the movies. Now, the television format was a quick cheat for Marvel to quickly introduce and familiarize audiences with new characters instead of developing them in various solo films over the course of 2 to 3 years of prior phases.
I'm a superhero.
Phase 4 heavily utilized the new streaming platform to release 9 TV shows and 2 special presentations. Now, strictly speaking about streaming series, 4 new heroes were introduced: Kate Bishop, Moon Knight, Ms. Marvel, and She-Hulk, compared to the 1 new hero introduced in a feature film.
You have the wrong guy. Does he look like he can fight?
Now, Marvel leaned heavily on Disney Plus in Phase 4, but how will they use the streaming platform moving forward? Daredevil Born Again might just provide some clues. While Charlie Cox's Daredevil and Vincent D'Onofrio's terrifying Kingpin have already made their official debut in the MCU on the studio's Disney Plus series, we're all awaiting the Daredevil Born Again series, which was planned to be released in 2024. And they've already established that these versions of the characters are different than the characters they portrayed in the original Netflix series.
I think the show will be slightly tonally different. I don't know how yet. I haven't read anything yet. I don't know what the stories are. We're doing 18 episodes. That tells me that the structure and the way we tell those stories are going to be slightly different.
Now, this means that the show won't pick up where the Netflix series ended. Another returning character is Jon Bernthal as Frank Castle, aka Punisher. The 2 actors who reportedly aren't set to return right now, however, are Deborah Ann Wall and Eldon Henson, who played Karen Page and Foggy Nelson, respectively. It's unclear if the characters will even be in this iteration or if they're being recast. Now, D'Onofrio has also gone on to say that a season 2 is already being planned. D'Onofrio is confident in Marvel and Disney Plus to allow the Daredevil world to keep some of the brutality of the show, saying that Marvel already has gone brutal, and if it's there for them as well. But we don't have to wait too long to see these 2 together, as both Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio will be appearing in the upcoming series Echo, a spin-off of the Hawkeye series that first introduced Echo, aka Maya Lopez.
Sometimes family doesn't see eye to eye.
Echo is being released with the whole first season dropping all at once on November 29th of this year. D'Onofrio appeared on stage at D23 Expo alongside the Echo series star, but recent news claims that there will be a plotline involving Daredevil as he looks for a former ally, rumored to be Jessica Jones. Now, does this mean that there are larger plans to bring the Netflix Defenders to the MCU?
Either way, I'm just thrilled to be here, to be part of it, and feel very grateful.
Yes. Welcome back to IGN Live at Comic-Con. Now, Netflix's Daredevil was one of the best TV adaptations of a Marvel comic book character ever made until it left our lives for good. But with Daredevil's alter ego appearing in the MCU's Spider-Man No Way Home and She-Hulk, as well as the brand new upcoming Disney Plus series Daredevil Born Again, we've got lots more brand spanking new Daredevil to look forward to. Now, here to help me talk all about it, everything we can expect from Marvel's best butt-kicking lawyer, are Amelia Emberwing, Joshua Yehl, and Kim Horcher. Hey, friends! Hey. Look at those familiar faces. Now, first off, what are your thoughts on Disney Plus shows?
So Disney Plus shows have really expanded the way the MCU works and have given us the long-form storytelling that we have desperately needed in these comic book narratives. So I'm really pro their entire intent. I think we've seen some struggles with like Secret Invasion and some other things that maybe should have released all at once, but I think overall, on the whole, Disney Plus has really helped give us a deeper narrative that people have been craving for the MCU.
Now, yeah, so with that, you know, Bob Iger came out recently talking about how he wants to cut back on Marvel and Star Wars content. So how do we think that's going to affect Disney Plus and the Marvel shows that we see on there moving forward, though?
Yeah, what he said was that he thought that because there's so much all of a sudden that it was diluting like the Marvel brand a bit. I can kind of see what he's saying, and they already have sort of dialed back the release schedule. They've already pushed some releases to like next year and stuff like that. And I think slowing down, pumping the brakes a little bit is a good idea, because a phase of Marvel used to have like I don't know, like 10, like a dozen things, like projects, and now there's like 40. So I get it that they've expanded. The Marvel Universe is bigger than it's ever been. But yeah, I wouldn't mind if they just, bring it in a little bit and focus things a little bit more. And I think that'll help address the big issue of the multiverse saga, which is that it seems a little unfocused. And I think that'll put a point and like take us to the end of the multiverse saga.
I mean, go ahead.
Well, I think slowing it down is really important for what they're trying to do, but I think the overall comment on like it's diluting it, I also don't agree with that, because again, like it ties back to what I said about the long form storytelling. Like we need these deeper dives into these people, like especially from like the comic book fan perspective, because they've always been these long form narratives, and it's something that film can't dive into as deeply, and like WandaVision was such a perfect example of that, and I want to see them get back to that, like digging in deeper rather than just adding the content to add the content.
I agree with you. I think WandaVision is maybe my favorite thing that the MCU has ever done, which is kind of like wild because it's a show, but I think it does set a blueprint that hasn't necessarily been followed. We see a lot of meanderings, plot lines, and Secret Invasion. It's just incredibly boring. It's not necessarily that that's the problem.
Yep.
Yeah, it seems like we're getting a lot of Daredevil as of late, though. Of course, before Daredevil Born Again, we're also going to see Daredevil in Kingpin and Echo. So, Kim, I'm going to direct this to you. Do we think Daredevil is kind of poised to kind of save the MCU on the small screen, maybe?
They are sure leaning that way, especially with introducing him in She-Hulk. And I loved his plotline in She-Hulk, which is he's just there to have fun with her. Wink. Okay, remove the wink. It's out now. But I'm a little concerned about Echo all dropping at once. I think there's probably a few different ideas as to why that is. And one I'm concerned with is that they don't have faith in it as a tentpole or as a character leading series.
Yeah, how do we feel here on the panel, though? Do we have faith in Echo? Like, will we be watching it? Like, honestly, I'm going to watch it just because it's my job, but it's all dropping at once. I'm just going to skip to the parts where I could see Daredevil and Kingpin, but that's just me. I'm that type of guy. How do y'all feel?
So I'm in full agreement with Kim about like the concern about it all dropping at once and them not having faith in it, because there are other shows that they should have released all at once that they didn't. But so far as Echo goes, I am so excited to learn more about this character and see her dove into more than we got to see in her earlier screen appearances. I think the show is going to be great, and I have really, really high hopes for it.
What about you, Joshua?
I mean, yeah, I think Echo's a really cool character that I'm excited that people are getting to know. Yeah, the fact that they're dropping it all at once does feel weird, because they haven't done that before. Like, so why this one? You know, it does feel a little bad because I feel like the hype cycle will be shorter and it'll just be a very come and go kind of show, which sucks because I think this is going to be a very unique, really cool, interesting story for the MCU.
Yep. Now, what about Jon Bernthal returning as the Punisher? How do we think the Punisher is going to factor into all of this?
I think the Punisher is the best when he's played against Daredevil, because they're just so diametrically opposed. If like one will kill to reach his goal and one absolutely will not. Kind of like Batman. He's Red Batman. So I think the fact that they're bringing the Punisher back in is really cool. And I think it won't be like what we got before, right? I think that the tone is shifting when they're bringing Daredevil into the MCU. So I think we're just going to get sort of like a refresh on these characters. And so we're going to get sort of maybe a different spin on the Punisher, a different spin on Daredevil, and bringing them all together with this different sort of elevated, really superhero emphasis on the superhero tone in the MCU.
Yeah, but I'm honestly, I'm just curious because, like, you know, we talk about the Punisher. I'm curious about, like, the brutality. Like, will it be as brutal as we've seen in the Netflix series? Kim, you're like, your head's kind of talking to the side. What's going on?
They're going to say, yeah, it's going to be just the same. It's going to be the same.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the same. It's going to be toned down. That's my theory. I don't know. But what you were saying about the best scenes being Daredevil and Punisher together, those were their best scenes. And I think season 2 of Daredevil And if that's like the route to success, I think.
I think we are going to see it toned back a little bit, but we have seen Disney Plus take more risks than we're used to with Marvel. Like Secret Invasion, despite its flaws, has been a great example of that, with like the cutting off of the finger to determine whether or not it's a Skrull or not. Like I never would have imagined that they would have done that on a Disney Plus show. So I think we're going to see them push the edges of where we're going to see Disney Plus, but I agree, it's in no way going to be the same level that Netflix was. We're not going to see that like Wilson Fisk car scene again.
Prove us wrong.
Yeah. I mean, but they did start small, like cutting off fingers. I mean, like soon we're gonna get entire limbs cut off. What about Matt's faithful sidekicks, like Karen and Foggy? They haven't been announced to be in the series yet. So do we think they're gonna show up at any point?
I really hope we see Karen and Foggy. Karen started really rocky on the show, but she eventually stepped into her own and became an actual character. So I would love to see her story continued. But so far as Foggy goes, Foggy is so important to the Daredevil dynamic, and I really, really hope that we see them ultimately brought in.
I mean, I'm going to counter that with, I do love those characters. I think those actors were great. And there is a world where it would be cool to have them back. But if the MCU is going to like kind of soft reboot Daredevil and do something maybe a little new, a little different. In the comics, when they reboot Daredevil, usually they take him away from all his familiar elements and just throw him in a completely new environment with new characters. And so that's the kind of thing that I want to see. Like we already kind of got great, Karen and Foggy and everything. So I think this is the time to give me something else. Give me something new. I've already seen that.
All I care about is Elodie Young as Elektra.
Yes.
And their chemistry together was magnetic. It was just, I can't beat how they seemed together and the two characters juxtaposed with each other and how her morality is, Elektra morality. But that's the only returning character I'd really hold out for.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm excited for all of that. Hopefully, I want all those characters to return. I mean, again, this is just our own these are our thoughts. All right, well, you know what? Daredevil Born Again is still a ways off, but luckily there are hundreds of other comic book characters to talk about, and we'll be doing just that right here on IGN Live at Comic-Con, so don't go anywhere.